Hazel Blum is 17 and already cynical. She has every reason to be. After all, life has taught her that change, when it happens at all, is slow and unspectacular. Hazel believes people who say everything can change in an instant. Teachers, writers, grandmothers are just trying to add poetry to a world that mostly trudges along. But on the first day of her senior year, in a tired, coastal Maine town she never wanted to move to, Hazel is about to discover that change can be sudden, and it can be strange. Having grown up in Brooklyn, surrounded by fellow intellectual misfits, diverse energy, and constant noise, Hazel's forced relocation to Riverburgh, Maine, is more than a geographical adjustment. It feels like social exile. Her father has accepted a faculty position at a nearby liberal arts college, and while Hazel outwardly resents the move, she inwardly knows it's for her benefit. The tuition benefits will make college financially accessible, and applying from a sparse state like Maine may increase her odds at getting into her dream schools, small, elite liberal arts colleges, where she imagines herself becoming a real writer. Hazel is whip-smart, self-deprecating, and guarded. She reads voraciously, views the world through a lens sharpened by feminist critique and teenage bitterness, and finds most adults either disappointing or patronizing. Her inner monologue hums with sarcasm and longing. She wants to be remarkable, but suspects she's not. She wants to be noticed, but only by people who see her the right way. She has a sharp tongue, a vivid interior world, and a dream of getting into Vassar, though she's embarrassed to admit it aloud. She wants to be a writer, which, in her estimation, is akin to wanting to be an astronaut or a rock star. Noble, doomed, unrealistic. On the first day at her new school, Hazel is publicly summoned to the principal's office over the loudspeaker. The humiliation of being called out in front of students she hasn't even met yet is just the latest in a string of awkward moments. But what seems like a routine check-in quickly becomes something stranger, more intimate, and disquieting. The principal, Richard White, is a familiar face. Over the summer, he'd become something of an accidental fixture in Hazel's life. They both frequented the local pool, and he took an interest in the books she was reading. He asked her questions about her literary taste, borrowed a novel she mentioned, and suggested they start a school literary magazine together. At the time, she thought it was harmless, maybe even kinda cool. He seemed like a benign, vaguely nerdy adult who was just excited to talk to a smart teenager about books. She'd chalked his interest up to small-town boredom and the novelty of a Brooklyn transplant. But now, sitting in his office, Hazel begins to reconsider their summer conversations. Richard, who insists she call him by his first name, says he just wanted to check in. He compliments her academic record, her ambition, her intellect. He says he gets her, that she's a star, and that she shouldn't sell herself short in her college applications. He drops that he went to Brown and can make some calls. He speaks with familiarity that makes Hazel uneasy. He praises her as if she's extraordinary, as if he's discovered something special in her. He brings up the literary magazine again, offering to brainstorm themes and contributors. He speaks in plural, our magazine, our plans, our ideas. Hazel is caught in a moment of mental static. On one level, this is all standard adult-teen mentorship. But something about Richard's tone, the closed office door, and his attention feels off. He says things that could easily be read as encouragement or something else. Hazel doesn't know how to name what she's sensing. She tells herself she's imagining things, that she's overreacting. But the discomfort lingers. The novel is about this moment, the liminal space between suspicion and certainty, power and vulnerability. Hazel is at an age where she's still forming the language to articulate what she's feeling, but her instincts are sharp. She can't quite decide if the principal is simply overeager to support her academic potential, or if his attention masks something darker. And that confusion is exactly what gives the situation its tension. As the school year unfolds, Hazel finds herself navigating an uncomfortable new reality. Richard continues to treat her like she's exceptional. He invites her to meetings about the magazine, praises her writing in ways that border on personal, and lingers too long during conversations. She begins to question her own reactions. Was that compliment harmless? Was that glance too long? Is she imagining this? Simultaneously, Hazel is dealing with the usual teenage struggles, making friends at a new school, dealing with family tensions, managing her academic workload, and working on college applications. She resents the performative nature of applying to college, the way ambition must be neatly packaged into personal essays and AP courses. She hates that her future depends on whether she can appear both brilliant and likable on paper. Hazel's voice, wry, sharp, and vulnerable, guides the reader through this maze. She's funny, even as she's anxious. She's skeptical of authority, but unsure of her own power. She wants to matter, but doesn't want to be seen the wrong way. And as her interactions with Richard escalate, never explicitly but always subtly, she's forced to confront what it means to be a teenage girl in a world where men's intentions are not always what they seem. Her growing discomfort comes to a head when Richard suggests they meet outside of school to work on the magazine. He couches the idea in plausible terms, neutral, professional, but Hazel feels a quiet alarm sound inside her. She has to decide whether to confront him, to say something, to tell someone. But she's afraid of the consequences. What if no one believes her? What if she's wrong? The novel builds toward this moment of reckoning, not in the form of a dramatic revelation, but in the slow, accumulating weight of Hazel's unease. It's not just about Richard's behavior. It's about the blurred lines between mentorship and manipulation. It's about the difficulty of speaking up when nothing technically wrong has happened. It's about being a teenage girl who senses danger before she can name it, and about how institutions are often ill-equipped or unwilling to listen. Throughout it all, Hazel clings to literature. Her books are both refuge and roadmap. They give her language, solace, and the illusion of control. But eventually, she must write her own story. Not in the literary sense, but by deciding how she will respond, what she will tolerate, and who she will become. Hazel Blum Is Not Special is a coming-of-age novel in the truest sense, not just about growing older, but about gaining the emotional literacy to recognize power dynamics, to trust one's instincts, and to speak even when your voice is shaky. It's a story about ambition, isolation, and the often invisible ways girls are taught to stay quiet, to smile, to doubt themselves. But Hazel is not quiet. Not really, and while she may not think she's special, the story suggests otherwise. Because in speaking up, in refusing to let ambiguity shield exploitation, Hazel claims a power she didn't know she had. This is a novel for anyone who's ever been the smart girl, the good girl, the too-aware girl. It's about the insidiousness of adult admiration and the courage it takes to see it for what it is. Ultimately, Hazel doesn't just survive her senior year in Maine. She learns how to live on her own terms, and maybe, just maybe, she starts to believe that she is special, not because someone told her so, but because she decided to be.